T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, everybody? It's the one and only Nickie Booshie here on Women's Wrestling Talk today to give you another top 5 panel. You guys remember, Women's Wrestling Talk is the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I am also here representing the most dominating tag team in Women's Wrestling Talk, the Salt Shakers. My partner Santana is not here today. However, we're going to get into a top 5 that I put together during the Halloween season. A lot of people love to go to scary movies and other things for their Halloween pleasure. However, for me, I like to find some wrestling involved in Halloween. So today we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to be presenting you guys with my top 5 impact moments from none other than the demon assassin herself, Rosemary. So let's jump right into it. My number 5 moment. So for me, this number 5 is very crucial to Rosemary's career. It is where Allie dies in Rosemary's arms. What a theatrical moment we see from Rosemary. We get to see her in a very different light. She enters the undead realm and is searching and to plan to save Allie's soul. And we notice that this doesn't happen. It's sad to say that at the moment that we think that we're getting Allie back, as Kiera Hogan's being held by Father James himself, Su Yung takes this moment and kills Allie. And it's a shocking moment where we see Rosemary in a very different light. We see her have empathy, and we see her at a vulnerable moment as she again is holding Allie in her arms. And it's a really sad moment because a lot of us, we've never seen Rosemary in this light. It's always very demonic. But in this moment, in my number 5 moment, I believe that it's very crucial for this moment for Rosemary because it really unleashes a sense of destruction on the Impact Zone and to the Knockouts division, which leads me to my number 4 moment. And that is Su Yung versus Rosemary. And in this moment, we see them chained together in a demon collar match. Now, this match dating back to 2019 gives Rosemary an opportunity for revenge at what Su Yung has done. As soon as that chain hits Su Young's neck, we see a different side of Su Yung, a very demonic creature, even more demonic than we've seen before. However, for Rosemary, this is something that is about revenge. It's about exonerating the death of Allie, who she was trying to save. The reason I put this as number 4 is because I believe that this moment really showcases a dominance that we see in Rosemary that I think hasn't necessarily been missing at this point, but in this opponent with Su Yung, we see something a little different. Now, as we know, Su Yung does not get the victory. It is Rosemary who does actually get the victory. And at the end of the match, we see Rosemary take the chain and take Su Yung and drag her up the ramp, taking her in possession. And the one thing that I love about this match, especially pertaining to Halloween, is the spookiness that we get in the match. Not only are they connected by a collar, but the presence that they have in the ring. We really go into this match not knowing who is going to win, who's going to get the victory. A lot of us want Rosemary to get the victory because we want her to get something back from Allie's death. But with fans of Su Yung, we kind of want to see her make Rosemary fall, in a sense. Now, we all know Rosemary has had some pretty interesting feuds. And her feuds in the Knockouts division has really given us many different moments. Before we get into our number 3, I want to talk about a moment that's not on the list, but pertains to number 3. And it's the time that we see her and Jade face each other in the 6-sided steel cage. Now, the one thing that I love about this match is it brings us to our number 3, my number 3, which is Rosemary versus Jade in an infamous Impact Monster Ball match in 2017. Now, the one thing that we see is that Rosemary normally likes to do this thing with her opponents where she really gets in their heads and she really figures out how she can use that as a control to get the win. However, with Jade is very familiar with Rosemary. We see Jade in a different light to where she's not scared of Rosemary, but she should be. Because in this match, we have kendo sticks, we have tables, we even have tacks. We see Jade bring out the barbed wire. We see Rosemary take the barbed wire and take those attacks. We see Rosemary again be German suplexed in the tacks. And I think this moment really thrives off of what the Knockouts division was giving during the 2017 era. The rivalry that Jade and Rosemary built in the ring showcases that Jade was actually able to take Rosemary to the limits and really showcase just how vile Rosemary can be and just how destructive Jade can be. The one thing that I really love about this match is, once again, the rivalry that pertains around this match. We get a key point with Gail Kim, Impact Wrestling's own Hall of Famer, to where we see her and we know Jade and Gail have a long history of being friends. And we see Gail at the end come to the aid of Jade. But was that a bad decision for Gail? Because we see moments later as Rosemary, and it's one of my favorite moments. She grabs the title and she slowly walks into the ring and gradually gets into the ring. And she looks up at Gail and she sprays the mist in Gail's face. Now, we all know Gail at this time was actually injured. So it really brings even more misery to Gail, as we know Gail and Rosemary have had their history as well. So the one thing that I love, and the reason why I wanted this to round off my top 3, is because there's story and there's relevance and there's a rivalry amongst so many knockouts. And I really love the way that Gail Kim has worked with each of the knockouts, showcasing rivalries, showcasing more in-depth stories, and really giving us a different side of Rosemary at the end of this match. We really see Rosemary turn into a true demon assassin, which brings me to my number 2 moment. Now, I really struggled with this because honestly, this is by far one of my favorite moments of Rosemary. And we see Rosemary return at none other than the 2019 Impact Wrestling Homecoming. Now, we all assume that Rosemary has been lingering around. However, with Allie in the ring, the goal is to get Kiera Hogan into the casting with the help of the Undead Bridesmaids. Now, I have to say, I'm a huge fan of the Undead Bridesmaids. I think they bring something that is so scary to the Knockouts division, but yet so relevant. And the one thing that I love is when we see the casting open and Rosemary pops up, there's a roar in the crowd that we know at one point Rosemary was going to come. But what a moment at homecoming. And we see the look, even on Kiera's face, as Rosemary attacks the Undead Bridesmaids and really lets her power and dominance and relevance in the Knockouts division be known yet again. Now, the one thing that I love about this match is the anticipation that we see as Rosemary walks down the ramp slowly, looking at Allie, trying to really get into the mind of Allie and really let her know who really is running the show, who really has the main control over the Knockouts division. And I really love that. And once Rosemary enters the ring, the one thing that I love is that it's almost like Rosemary's presence takes over the Impact Zone, takes over Homecoming, but also takes over Allie. And even though we were able to see a moment for Allie to escape, we all knew that at some point, Allie was going to have to pay the piper and revisit what her and Rosemary started all along. And with that, I really struggled with this number 2. I really went back and forth wanting to make this my number 1, but there was just one moment that I felt like deserved it just a little more. And that brings me to my number 1 impact moment from Rosemary. And that's none other than Rosemary versus Taya Valkyrie in a 2018 match. And this match was none other than a Demon's Dance match. Now, going back and watching this match really showcases the dominance this particular rivalry has. From being friends to being rivals to now being at a moment of really trying to figure out who is most dominating. We know that Valkyrie is known for having one of the longest reign as a Knockouts division champion. And to say the least, this match brings us to so much just destruction. I mean, from the beginning of the match, the intensity that this match builds, from the entrances to really getting into the beginnings of the match, from the last moment as Rosemary wins, as Rosemary shows once again who is the most dominating figure in the Knockouts division. The one thing that brings me back to this match, and the one reason why I gave this match the number one spot for my top 5, is the relevance that this match still carries on in the Knockouts division today. Also, the story that was built, it's there. There's not much that we have to uncover. And the one thing that I love, and I talk about this in the article exclusively on Women's Wrestling Talk, is that even though these two women are very much different in character and style, if you look at them in the ring, they're so matched together. Their chemistry is there. The will to win is there, but the hunger to survive is even more evident. And what I really love is going into a feud where you genuinely don't know who's going to win. These two opponents showcase dominance, showcase a sense of never wanting to give up, but the hatred that was almost undeniably there for them really showcases the importance that the Knockouts division and these women have really given to women's wrestling. The importance that I really wanted to showcase in the top 5 for Rosemary is the relevance that she's given us for her impact moments. She has been one of the most notable knockouts that we've had in this era, and I believe that it's evident to showcase. And I think with this number 1, this is what really wakes people up and really showcases what Rosemary is about. It's really easy, and I've noticed this. I got to watch a lot of Rosemary's matches over the summer when they were here in Nashville for a lot of the Impact events. And I noticed that she has such a captivating spirit and also a captivating character to the point where it's so easy to fall in love with her. And it gets even better when she gets in the ring. I really hope you guys enjoyed my top 5 moments. Make sure to check out more top 5 moments exclusively on Women's Wrestling Talk. And also, we will be doing a Sasha Banks panel this coming up Monday. So be on the lookout for that. And speaking of Rosemary, I want to let you guys know that this weekend is turning point for Impact Wrestling. DK, Havoc, and Rosemary herself will be going up against the Knockouts Division Tag Team Champions, the Inspirations, for those titles. So don't want to miss that. And again, we thank you for tuning in to the number 1 women's wrestling talk on the planet. And this is not just women's wrestling. This is professional wrestling. Tees available on the website. Make sure you guys check me out. It's Nickie Booshie. You guys can check me out on Instagram, check me out on Twitter, and I'm always here on Women's Wrestling Talk, giving my perspective and also giving you some top 5s. Until next time, you guys, stay bougie.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number 1 women's wrestling show on the planet.